Hey guys and gals, what's up everybody? Cledus Judd here with another episode of Straight to the Point, a video podcast for Recovery Point where we take some residents and spending some time at Recovery Point. We bring them in, we let them share their story in hopes that somebody else out there that's watching will maybe not get off the same exit as some of us have got off on along our journey. Today it's a special episode because we got Daniel right here, who I just checked was voted best hair in all the facilities and all four of them, including the one in Charleston, which is all female. So what's up, my man? Good to see you, buddy. You're looking good. Hey, buddy. Hey, William, how you doing?
Doing good.
And thank y'all so much for jumping on here with me for a few minutes. Just had a chance to meet y'all just a little bit ago, spent a little bit of time out in the parking lot getting rained on, of course, till we had smart enough sense to come on in out of the rain and come in here and do this. So just want to start with you, William, just maybe get a little bit of background about your childhood, growing up, maybe, what life was like in Mingo County. I've heard some stories about Mingo County. That's way out in the holler, ain't it?
Yeah.
So, man, just tell the folks out there a little bit about your history, and then we'll jump with you, Daniel. So here we go.
Okay, I'm from Mingo County, West Virginia. I've lived there ever since I was a baby. I was raised in a middle class family. I've had it pretty good. Been lucky.
Yeah.
I had a good mom and dad. Just went off the rails. Drinking there when mid-20s, trying to figure out stuff. And then had some deaths in the family. My grandma and mom. That's where it really got bad.
I'm sure you're in your 20s at that time.
Yeah.
What about like in the younger years? Are you pretty good in middle school, high school, and all that?
Had a great childhood, actually. Just played basketball in high school. Had just a normal everyday life.
Right.
Just more or less just as I got 18, 19, 20, just when I was younger, I got bullied a little bit and stuff, and I was always trying to fit in when I was younger.
Man, we talked in an earlier episode. It seems like that is so prevalent, probably more so nowadays than back when I was younger. I have two daughters and a stepson as well, and when Caitlin was younger, that was one thing that we worried about, because she was always coming on saying, I just don't fit in, I'm not with the in crowd, they have all this and I don't have this, and man, we really had to depend on the good Lord and some stern sayings, to keep her from going down that path. But so once you had, you're talking about your grandmother passing away, and so was the alcohol the first thing that came into play there? A lot of people say, I started smoking a little weed, and next thing you know, alcohol, and then it went from there.
I smoked a little bit of weed when I was younger. That's about the only thing I ever done. I just drank liquor and beer most of my all the way through until 7 months ago.
Just always been alcohol.
Always alcohol, yeah.
And that was it just kind of self-medicating.
Yeah, I tried to, didn't want to feel the pain, didn't never grieve my mom died 10 years ago and my grandma died like three years before her, and they was my two best friends all the way through my life.
Yeah.
I was lucky. I've been very lucky to have a big family on both sides.
Good support system.
Yeah, very good.
Man, that's important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. I can't imagine doing it. It's hard enough to do it with a support system. I can't imagine how tough it'd be not to have nobody to depend on. Daniel, thank you for coming, buddy. Tell us a little bit about your story, some history there, and let's see what's going on.
Well, my name's Daniel. I'm from Florida, born in Spring Hill originally. 27, and growing up, I was actually my dad was in the military. He was in the Marines for quite a while, and growing up was fairly great, man. For real, like I didn't start using because I was trying to, cover up no pain or anything like that. I started smoking weed and drinking early in middle school and high school, just hanging out with the older crowd, trying to fit in and stuff like that. And it was just apparent, like now that I can see that you know, I've had a problem pretty much my entire life, just how I was growing up and trying to impress other people, drinking and smoking and
Sure.
stuff. We got to a point in my life living down in Florida where my dad was an alcoholic as well, and it got pretty bad for us. Lost his job, and we ended up being homeless for a little while, living in tents behind bars and stuff like that, man.
Dang.
And I give it to him though. He tried to do what he could for me, keep me in school and stuff like that, but he just couldn't really manage it at the time. And you know, that's when I started to get into the really bad crowd and try to fend for myself. I was probably about 13 when I started really using major and hardcore drugs, you know.
Give me some examples.
Well, I've been shooting smack and smoking crack since I was probably about 14 or 15, selling drugs and everything like that I can.
Did you sell just to support your habit, or you know? I mean,
No, I sold to support my habit and to put food on the table at
Right,
some point
right.
at the time. You know what I mean? I was supporting my habit and my dad's at one point. You know, just doing what I could to, you know, be a man of the family at the
Right,
time.
right.
I didn't have my mom in my life until I was about I was about 15. And at the time, pills were real big up here in West Virginia, and down in
Right.
Florida, they're really cheap. So me and my dad had got into it one night over something real stupid. I can't even remember what it was, but she come down. I called her up and I said, "You need to come get me," you know. And she came down, and she happened to be down in Florida picking up some drugs. And I moved up here to West Virginia, and just back and forth. It was I went from one situation to another. You
Right,
know what I
right.
mean? And from there, it just escalated because I didn't have no. All I had was registered successes at the time. I've never gotten in trouble. I did really good in school when I was in school, but
Right.
never wanted to be in school. You know
Gotcha.
what I mean? And I was making too much money to know what to do with for real at a very young age.
How old were you when you were making the most?
I was probably about 18 or 19. I was making anywhere from $5,000 of 2 or 3 days to $50,000 to $60,000 in just an average time of a couple months. You know what I mean?
Right in the middle of your addiction too, right?
Absolutely.
Dangerous, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That money and addiction is a dangerous thing. I was telling some of the guys earlier that a few months ago I had a guy was going to do some work for me, and he was we knew him. He was 45 days clean. I said, "Man, I got my life together. You know, I can do this." And I met with him, and you know, eyes were clear, saying all the right things. Well, you know, give him $2,000 to get material. And you probably know what happened after that. You know, he comes in the next day and, you know, gacked out of his mind. None of the material hardly was bought. Calls the next day, didn't show up, and said, "Hey, the money's gone. I relapsed, and sorry, the job's over." And, you know, 45 days, man, just wasn't enough. And like you said, man, right in the middle of an addiction, you got a pocket full of money. That's not a good mixture, is it?
No, definitely not at all. So, like, for me, it wasn't even just the drugs. Like, money and the lifestyle was addictive.
Oh,
as
I can
well,
imagine,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like, just fast cars, nice clothes, women. You know what I mean? The
Absolutely.
whole nine just comes along with it. And I can remember at one point, like, I was using, you know, regularly, but half the time I didn't even need to use because I had money in my pocket and drugs in my pocket at all times. And it was just the thought of just knowing that I had that stuff, you know what I mean, was good enough
Absolutely.
for my brain.
Yep.
Because it's not the drugs and alcohol that is really the problem for you. It's you yourself. You know what I mean?
Sure.
This thing up here is
Right.
is miraculous machine, and
I'm
it
telling
works
you.
wonders on you for real.
Oh, either wonders or nightmares, one or the other, isn't it? And when did you know, Daniel, did it finally come to a head? You know, did you go into any treatments before this? Were you in and out? Did you go to prison, jail? What's the story there?
So I ended up 2019. I ended up catching a few drug charges. Still selling at the time, obviously, and it would have made my 9th or 10th time going in and out of jail. And at this point, I still had all these registered successes because I've always gotten out. You know, they didn't have enough evidence, or they just didn't have nothing.
Right,
you know what
right.
I mean? And this time, it was set in stone. I was got. You know, as they
Finally
say.
got,
Yeah,
huh?
I was got, and it ended up being me and my mother. We both ended up getting in trouble, same kind of trouble, and me being the person I was at the time, and still at the time, I would still do it again today. I just pretty much took all the rap for it, and you know, she had no part in it, and they ended up releasing her, and they were going to sentence me to 6 years in prison, and where West Virginia has this new law out, you know, rehabilitation for incarceration, you know,
Right.
gave me the opportunity to go to a treatment center. I went to Recovery U in Jefferson, which is right close to Charleston.
Right,
That
right.
was the first facility I went to, and it that's where it really started. You know what I mean? Like actually seeing that I can possibly get sane and sober and live a
Productive.
productive life. I
Right.
won't say normal because who's all normal in this world?
I
you know
told
what
my
I mean?
counselor one time, I said, man, look here, lady, I just want to be normal. That's all. And she said, normal is a setting on a washing machine. There's no such thing as normal life, you know, and so it's cool you said that, yeah.
I went there. I was there for almost about 8 months, and my mom ended up passing away, and I kind of just, I don't know, I won't say lost it, but just went dark and grim. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, you'll hear all the time. You know, there's the best part about getting sober is, you know, you get your emotions back. Well, the worst part about getting sober is you get
Get your emotions back, right?
So, you know, it was, I came to a point in my life where I realized, like, I've been out in addiction for so long that I've lost a lot of my emotions, that I just don't even feel a lot of things. And I say this all the time. I know Dave has heard me say it. You know, I'm thankful today that when I go through something tragic, you know what I mean, no matter what it is, like, I'm clean and sober because I can deal with it in the proper kind of way.
Right.
Because before, if I was out in the addiction before and my mom would have passed away, you know, who knows what I would have done. Done too big of a shot,
Oh, yeah.
went and
Yeah.
got in trouble, police chase, and just, you know.
Said the hell with it.
You know, suicide by
Yeah.
police, whatever, you know what I
Right.
mean? Just because I was out, you know, and lost. At the time, that was the only person I had, you know what I mean?
Sure, absolutely.
But yeah, I ended up, my mom ended up passing away, and I ended up just leaving, you know, because I didn't have nobody else, and I really wasn't, like, I wanted to be clean and sober at the time, but I wasn't doing it for myself, you know what I mean? And
Sure.
that's the whole point of recovery is, you know, if you really want it, you're going to do it for yourself because you can't do it for nobody else.
Right, right.
And I don't know, man. It just really, really brought me to a place that was, you know, inside myself, and I couldn't outwardly express it in any kind of way. The only way I could dull the pain was, you know, using.
Sure. Yep.
So I ended up going back to jail, turning myself in because, you know, like I said, I did really want it still at the time. And I'm turning myself back in, and my probation officer at the time gave me the opportunity to come to Recovery Point. Where I was at in West Virginia, where I was at in the county of Fayette County,
Yeah.
there was several people that's gone through Recovery Point already, 2 or 3 of them that I went to school with, and she knew that and got a hold of somebody, and he got me in there within 2 days.
Oh, awesome.
And it was really amazing, man. Cause
How long you been in?
Almost 6 months.
6 months. Got it under control?
Absolutely.
You got it. Man, I was going to ask you, what was your rock bottom? When did it finally go, okay, you know what, enough of this drinking, enough of this self-medication? You know, because when we get older, you know, we all reach an age of accountability where we can't we can't blame, others. We can't blame our past. I tried that forever. And, I mean, we all do it. Well, you just don't understand. You don't know what I've been through. Hey, look, you don't know my dad was a sot drunk alcoholic. I was telling a guy yesterday, my grandfather, he was an alcoholic who functioned, both of them were functioning alcoholics, but he would go, we lived on a little corner, and he did in Georgia, and there was a convenience store about a half a mile from our house. Yeah. So every day he would walk to that convenience store and buy one beer, big tall boy, bring it home, drink it out of a paper bag, walk back to the store and get another one at a time. And he'd do that all day long. And I said, Granddad, why in the God's name don't you just get you a case or a six-pack or something? He said, well, I don't want nobody to think I'm alcoholic. Yeah. And he done walked back and forth that store for 30 times that day drinking beer. But he eventually, as he got older, he of course he quit. And but once you reach a certain age, man, you just about can't blame anybody of what we all went through in our past. So what was your rock bottom, man?
Probably my last DUI that I had, where I don't remember how I got home. To where, I finally just said to myself, which I got put in regional jail in Holden, West Virginia, but it was that DUI. I finally said to myself, I've got to straighten up. I said, I've got to go to rehab. And they just started referring rehab in Mingo County to Recovery Point last May.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like a year ago, about this time. See, if I would have knew about it 2 or 3 years ago, I probably would have went. But before then, I wouldn't have went because I didn't think I had a problem. I really thought probably 2 years ago I finally figured out I had a problem.
Right.
Because it was just getting worse and worse every time. It was like my 5th DUI.
5 of them?
Yeah. And
that's one thing we hadn't really talked much about in most of these. Most of it's been all drug related and that sort of thing. It's not really been a lot of. Actually, the first one has really come out and talked about DUIs and man, how. And I'm sure as a sober man now, not only could you lose your life, and your family's going to miss out on a great life and great things you have to offer, but you can also take the life of others. My daughter, your children, it could happen to anybody. And so, man, those things are super dangerous. Yes, for sure.
Very much so. I'm very lucky that I haven't killed myself or killed somebody else driving like that. And I couldn't tell you how many times I drove like that too.
And not even
just
blacked out.
Yeah.
Blackout drunk.
Yep.
Behind the wheel of a car. How you got home? I know how you might not know how you got home.
God.
Oh yeah. Carrie Underwood did a song called "Jesus Take the Wheel." He done took it for a bunch of us.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you.
He done it for me. Very lucky I've had it.
How long you been in? I asked you that earlier, but how long you been in?
7.5 months.
Doing okay?
Yeah, doing great.
All right, we're gonna close it with this, and I try to do this just about every time. And you hit on something that's so prevalent. The reason that we do these is hopefully that people will see your story, see my story, see your story. But there may be somebody out there that don't know they can get help. They may not know there's an option out there. So if you got in 30 seconds or less, if you got some 19-year-old kids, 21-year-old kid drinking and driving, what would you say to them?
Please just go and get some help and find your higher power, whatever it is. Mine's God. Just have faith in Him and let Him take care of you. He'll lead you down the right path. That's the reason what happened to me, I got away from God. And now that I'm back with Him, my path and my future is good.
Big D, I'm going to give you a shot too, because your story, probably out of everybody that I've talked to, your story, believe it or not, resonates more with me than any, because like you said, just knowing that I had it. It ain't like you had to have your face buried in that bag 24/7, but knowing you had the dope in this pocket and the money in this pocket, you're the life of the party then. Everybody loves you. They don't always, I've always said, they didn't always love me for what's under this shirt pocket right here. They loved me what was in these pants pockets. And if you had something that, I like the chicks, I couldn't even, the one thing I love to do more than anything in life is play golf. And at one time, I couldn't even go to the golf course for spending time on the phone. Okay, can you meet me in the parking lot? Can you meet me at Kroger? Hey, guys, I'll be there. I'm going to run a little bit late. I got to stop and get gas. No, and I'm just lying, trying to, buy time to get the dope. Now, I might, like I said, may not, but I was always afraid of it. That was my problem. I thought, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do too much, but I always had it all the time. That's an addiction. When you can't do without it, it's an addiction. And if you had somebody out there living that lifestyle, got that money in their pocket, driving that SL 500 Mercedes around town, got 4, 5, 6 in the car, what would you say to them, buddy?
Well, I started by saying, at the end of the day, it's not all that it's cracked up to be. You can imagine you want to be a Pablo Escobar, but at the end of the day, if you want to be that, that's probably what you'll end up like. You know what I mean? So when it comes down to it, like living a life you want to live, are you living a life you want to live, or are you living a life that by something else that's controlling you? You know what I mean? So for me, like, if you really want to live a life of your own, you got to live it by doing the things you want to, not by something that's controlling you else. And there is a way that, at the end of the day, there's a way that you can get out of it, and it's just by reaching out and asking for help.
Well said, my man. Well said. Just what he said. And I always say it before we end this thing, if you don't get help at Recovery Point, just get help somewhere. Call somebody. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid. If God gives you a breath, and he gave us all one today, then we got a chance to start all over. You can't do one, Joe, I call him the mayor at the Huntington Recovery Center. He said, man, they ain't made no device yet that I can fix nothing I did 10 minutes ago. If I knock that water over right there, I can't go back 10 minutes ago and never have knocked that water over. So whatever you've done from this point back, you can't change. But just like these gentlemen right here, what they do today forward, you can change. Dial the number, get some help somewhere, whether it's with us, whoever it is, make a phone call, get help. And guys, can't wait to see what the future holds for both of you, man. I wish I had hair like him, dang it. Stuck with this. All right, we'll see y'all. Straight to the point. Have a good day. Bye.